Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. Got a big show lined up. But first, as always, let's take a look at our weather. Brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. Drew Pollard and his hard-working crew taking care of our everyday comfort needs. High today, 75 is a high. And low, 67. That's not bad. We're looking at the water temperature at the end of the pier. It's an even 80 degrees. Been there a couple of days, and this Pompano run is going strong. So we'll talk more about that on tomorrow's famous Friday fishing forecast. Our river reading brought to us by Panama City Coca-Cola. We're looking at the Apalachicola Bluntstown is at a 2.5. It's going up and then it's going back down. So whatever they do with those gates up there is going to determine the Bluntstown reading. But on the other hand, the Choctaw Caryville, thank goodness, it's going up. And right this morning it's only reading, it's gone from 1 foot to 2 foot this morning, but this afternoon, and it's just going to keep on getting rising water this weekend for the Choctaw River and the river basin, all of that area. They're looking good there. Tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. One word, neap. Neap tides the next couple of days, so you're going to have a little challenge. You're going to catch some redfish and trout, but it can be done, and it has been done. All right, our wind will be northeast at about 11. Take a break. We'll be right back with our special guest. Welcome back, and again, welcome to our guest, Ronnie Stevenson. Glad to have you back.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Mighty proud to be here.
Listen, we've had him on before, and we just flat out ran out of time because his knowledge of getting of plants and trees, and you know, it's amazing. I just told him, you got to come back and share some more. I bet we're going to run out of time today.
Yes, sir.
But tell us what's been going on. What have you been doing recently with your land and all?
Well, I did some summertime burns up there, and when you do summertime burns, it reduces the invasive plants, the sweet gums and things like that. It'll knock them back some.
Okay.
And I've been plowing some food plots and getting them ready, and dragging some peanut fields, trying to get them some doves in there.
This is up in the Jackson County?
Yes, sir, Jackson County.
Seeing all kind of pictures of how he's grafted these trees over the years, and this didn't happen overnight. He's taught himself this. That's what's so fascinating to me about it, and I just admire him so much for doing this. So we're going to show some pictures, and we're going to talk. And we'll start with persimmon trees. Tell us about this.
Yes, sir. This is a persimmon tree that I took a graft, some sign wood, from Wilden's Blackwell's tree at a property he had.
Okay.
And then I grafted a wild persimmon tree with that sign wood and left one small branch on it, nurse branch. And then after the sign wood took off, I cut off everything but the sign wood. And these persimmons, right now, you can take them and cut them open, and they're like pudding inside. They're delicious. As a matter of fact, there used to be some people that would steal Wilden's persimmons and sell them. So
I guess the game like it too.
Oh, they love it. They love it. And I've grafted native male persimmons with female sign wood, and that males won't bear, so the females will. So then you have more native persimmons. So I have some of both.
That's great. That's great. All right, this next picture here. Let's talk about pear trees.
Yes, sir. This is a pear tree, and I have a stand about 30 yards from that. But what I try to do is just don't clean the table. Have something for wildlife to enjoy and eat and prosper on the whole time. And then when you, they don't have to go away to get something to eat.
So you got, okay, talking about trees now, you got a persimmon tree here, you got a pear tree here. So you got a buffet, in other words.
Well, and I've got chestnuts. Here's one right here.
We got a picture of it right here. This is the next one, okay? All right, you got a chestnut on my travel corridor.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this was a huge field, and I divided it in two with trees. And
Okay.
these are some of the chestnuts I did.
I see how you did. You just divided it right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I know the deer enjoy coming in there.
Oh yes, yes. Arlo Kane used to put a picture there this time of year every year, seeing the deer. They bust these chestnuts open.
Okay.
They have-
Can we show this? Let me see.
Whoa, it's sharp here.
I know it. I know how they eat these things.
They
Okay,
bust
can you
them open with their paws.
Okay.
There's about 3 chestnuts in each one. I talked with the biologist Nate yesterday, and he said he wanted to learn how to stratify these nuts and then plant them, and then I'll plant a few trees. Arlo said, I don't want you to fill this place up with chestnuts. I've got some Dunstan chestnuts, some Chinkapin chestnuts,
Chinkapin, yeah.
and some Chinese chestnuts. Years ago, the people used to fill railroad cars up with chestnuts to feed hogs and cattle, and they also used to crush them to make flour to cook with. These chestnuts are good to eat, but they'll explode if you don't cut them in half, or I'll cut them in half and boil them.
Okay.
You've heard of chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Yeah.
And used to, chestnut was a prime lumber source for building houses and all, but they got the blight from some Chinese chestnuts, and we lost thousands and more millions, I guess, of trees.
Yeah.
And these are grafted with Chinese chestnuts so that they can withstand the blight.
They're resistant to that blight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you got like a whole row of them.
Yes. No. I've got them around my food plots. I've got divided across my fields, travel corridors.
Got them spread out.
Yeah, and I've got crab apples and plum thickets for the quail to noon in. And
Hey, if I was a quail, I'd want to live up there on his farm. But I'm telling you, all this game and all. Go back to what we talked last time. When did you start doing this?
When I bought the farms, I started this. And at first, I did not know how to identify what was good and what was bad.
Yeah.
And I was at a seminar with Dr. Carl Miller, and I purchased this book. And it's a book that identifies plants. And in it, it describes wildlife use, what they will use it for, if it's invasive, if it's not invasive, and you can learn these plants. There's also an app on your phone. Picture this. If you're out there and you don't understand what a plant is, where it's good or bad, take a picture of it and it'll tell you what it is. But it really won't tell you what wildlife use it has.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come right back. Ron Stevenson. Okay, welcome back. This is Ronnie Stevenson. Now, keep this in mind. He was not raised on a farm. He was raised at a beach. He grew up on the beach.
Yes, sir.
And that's what makes it so fascinating. The family had a old Stevenson's motel out there.
Right.
And now, but he transferred his love of doing things to the land.
Yes.
And real quick, tell the story you told right while I was off there about the oyster shells.
I used to carry oyster shells, about 40 boxes a week every Friday from a couple of restaurants to my farms, and I would pour those oyster shells out. And it would pave 1 foot in one rut. And I did every road in my farm system with them. And I did it for a couple of reasons, to stabilize the roads. And then as you would drive over with tractors and trucks, it would crush the oyster shells. The oyster shells are calcium, and it helps birds of all types when pick those little pieces of oyster shells. As a matter of fact, with chickens, you can buy crushed oyster shells to feed to your chickens so they'll have eggs, helps produce eggshells. And also it's calcium, and the land takes up the calcium and phosphorus. That's what builds antlers. And so as it leaches into the soil, you will
transfer it over to the food for the deer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one thing we have to do is when we have property, we have to maintain it, and you do some good burns. Tell us about your burns here.
I am a prescribed pile burner, and I am a prescribed acreage burner.
Okay.
I went to school to that, and I was doing some summertime burns and some pile burning. And if y'all notice that tree, it's 2 or 3 feet in diameter, and that was just a limb off of the tree.
This is after Hurricane Michael?
Yes, sir. And this is some of the piles from Hurricane Michael, and
Wow.
I got those burning. I do, the Forester Service comes out and pulls fire lanes, and it's a minimum charge. And if you want to do burning, if you're uncomfortable with it, you can make smaller sections. As a matter of fact, Dr. Marcus Lashley did what they call a bow hunt burn, 20 yards by 20 yards.
Yeah.
And that's small, so if you can start small, but they tested the plants in this, and some of the native plants were 20 to 30% protein. A lot of people spend a lot of money on food plots, but if they would spend a little extra time on native habitat, when it's a drought, these native plants still thrive.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can be excellent for wildlife.
Well, here's what, speaking of it right here, here's the native grasses right here.
Yes,
So-
and you'll have bees on all those blooming plants. They have insects. The quail and turkeys love to thrive on the insects. They're high in protein. And then you notice native grasses behind it. It's bare ground, so little chicks that are big as your thumb can get through there. If it's bahia grass or timothy grass, little baby chicks cannot navigate that because the grass is too
Okay,
thick.
fair enough.
They need bare soil.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point there. Okay, and now each season you have a warm burn right here. So what do you?
This is a growing season burn, and what this will do for you, it will knock back sweet gums, privet, and other things that you don't want. And it will create habitat. And where this potash is, the native grasses and herbs and forbs that come up will be naturally fertilized with the burn. As a matter of fact, old farmers used to take the potash and put it on the garden and trees and things to
They sure did.
help them grow.
And that's it naturally right there.
Yes, sir.
You got like a 350 or something. How much do you try to do it at one time? Do sections by section?
Oh yes, I do you should do it in a mosaic.
Okay.
And have the Forester Service break it up into areas that you're comfortable burning. And then of course always get a burn permit.
Oh yeah.
And burn according to what you're trying to do. But burning is the cheapest and most effective way to create and maintain old field habitat, which is what wildlife thrive in. Not only wildlife, butterflies, all kinds of birds.
Sometimes we try to get too fancy by throwing up all these exotic seeds and everything, and plant like you said, but just go back to nature like you have, and that nature will provide that. I mean,
That's
what did we do all these years before people threw corn out? I mean,
Yes, sir.
deer were still out there.
That's
quail, in fact, a lot of quail still out there.
Yeah.
Here's a growing season. So this is a different kind of burn here.
Yes, this is under some oak trees, and this is some piles from Hurricane Michael. And I was trying to beat back some of the vines and privet and things like that. I've been working in there doing hack and squirt on privet and things like that. And I did a growing season burn to help collar those things where they go in the ground. So now the sap is going down.
Okay.
This is the time of year the sap is going down. And if you can get your herbicide in there now, carry down, you kill the roots.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Because a lot of times people want to wait till springtime. It's too late then because it's going up.
And I want to mention one other thing about a mineral stump. Dr. Marcus Lashley first mentioned a mineral stump, and I thought he was talking about putting a block of minerals out there.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. It was where an area had been cut, a black gum, and the re-sprouts had a huge root system, and the deer were browsing that back, so it was almost like it was being maintained. And that tree did not have, while it was a huge tree, the leaves were not high in protein and phosphorus and calcium, but that big root system and the stump sprouts feeding them, it boosted the content of that.
Uh-huh.
Deer are a forage animal, and they will select things that are high in protein for them. So
it's like a steroid shot to them. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You know, with it all concentrated.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
people fuss about a clear cut or something, but a lot of times it's done properly, or a thinning can be the best thing in the world for wildlife. They need sunlight to hit the forest. If you look out on your property and all you see is leaves, you do not have good habitat. Sunlight has got to reach the forest floor. And I have had oaks that were small oaks but thick, but there was nothing underneath. So what you go in and release those bigger trees, and they can produce more acorns. Dr. Craig Harper called some of these fertilizer companies because they said, if you'll fertilize these trees, the acorns will be sweeter and all this. And he said, well, have you done tests on this? And the fertilizer people said, no, we haven't tested it. And so Dr. Craig Harper said, so you just naturally think, oh yeah, anybody knows that. Well, Dr. Harper went out and did a study on fertilized oak trees, unfertilized oak trees, and did a test of which the deer preferred. There was no difference.
No kidding.
No difference whatsoever.
You had to fertilize them.
That's right. What you need to do is release the competition from those trees.
Yeah.
So that they will grow better and have more sunlight and a bigger canopy, and that's what makes
A
the
canopy,
acorns.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Ron Stevenson. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a look at our fishing game time today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. We're looking at our time this morning, 10:08 to 12:08. Tonight, 10:28 to 12:28. I'm sitting here fascinated as always with these stories that Ronnie, we won't call him Dr. Ronnie because he knows so much about this. We've got a lot more pictures to go through, so let's get started back on these pictures. This is right here, travel corridor, so that's...
Yes, sir. That was a big field, but where wildlife thrives and where they will go is travel corridors.
Yeah.
And so I divided the fields in half.
So they can go down there protected.
Yes, sir.
Makes sense. Okay. Wild habitat borders.
This is field borders.
Okay.
This is a peanut field, and this is native grasses. What you see blooming there is goldenrod, and they need habitat for quail, and this is 20 yards wide. And I surrounded the fields with pine trees so the farmer couldn't plant right up to where he was planting to create more edge habitat.
Cool.
Wildlife thrives on edge habitat.
Edge habitat.
Yes, sir. This is my quail hunting area that I hunt. It's big pines, and I've got native grasses out there. In some places I've got wiregrass.
Oh, yeah. You see wiregrasses.
Yeah.
They love that, don't they?
Yes, sir. And this is another picture of an area when you can see the blooming plants and you can see the spaced out pine trees. It's a beautiful area to hunt quail in.
The old fashioned, that's how it
Yes,
used
sir.
to be. Open
Plantation type look.
Plantation, that's
it's
right.
It's just a small area.
There's your border.
This is another area where I divided a field. It was to connect. They need connectivity to get from one to the other, and they need cover, quail and all kinds of deer. And this is a white oak, and I planted about 100 of them.
You planted this one. It's
yes,
growing
sir.
well. Look at that.
Well,
Look at that.
the time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. This is a white oak, and I later learned after I planted it, it takes 40 years for a white oak to produce acorns.
Oh my goodness.
But this one is by itself next to a field, and it has acorns on it last year, and it's got acorns on it this year. White oak acorns.
Ahead of its time.
Yes, sir. And this is a bird dog pointed on some of my field edges. I run my bird dogs and have a few wild quail.
I know they love that.
Yes, sir. And
Some chestnut trees.
I got, this used to be a rodeo arena when I purchased this place, and I converted it to native habitat, this whole field, And I got chestnuts down one side, pines down the border. The rest of it is grasses. Another picture of my bird dog.
And they love it, don't they?
Yes, sir. Getting exercise. Yes, sir.
That's great. That's beautiful.
They're out there hunting.
It's up in northern Jackson County. Let's see, one or two more. It was just a jungle at one time.
You could not get through that. It was a jungle of privet, sweet gum, any invasive plants you could ever do. And now I've got native grasses growing down there, and you can hunt, and wildlife can thrive there.
Oh man, that's encouraging. And your last picture here.
That's by my dog pen. That's my chestnuts. I pick up a few chestnuts each year and stratify them, put them in some damp soil, put them in the refrigerator so they think they've gone through a cold spell. And then I've got these 2-inch tubes that are planted just taller than the buckets. And the reason for that is the plant grows its roots straight down. I can get the tube, pull it out, and use a shovel handle, and then my wife doesn't have to dig such a big hole. She can dig a post hole digger's a small hole and plant those trees.
Good way to do that. Good way to do that. Well, these are some great pictures, and I just admire you for your work, first of all, your work ethic and the knowledge you've gained over these years with that property you have.
Yes, sir.
You're a natural at it. And these doctors come to you and ask for your advice, don't they? Some of them, seriously.
I had a seminar, and a friend of mine, Jim Lawson, you know him well.
Yes.
He was my roommate in college. His wife said when the biologists started asking you questions about some of your grafted pecan trees in your fence rows, I started to pay attention to what you were saying.
And you're going to get a reward coming up pretty soon, a presentation, right?
Yes, sir. I talked with Nate. He said he's wrote the article on me, and it's going to be on the calendar for this year. And the FWC at their commission meeting is going to award me the State of Florida Conservationist of the Year for Florida.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I hope that meeting's up in this neck of the woods so we can all go to it, because that's quite an honor.
Thank you, sir.
So we're proud of you. I appreciate you taking time to come down and spend some time with us and share this knowledge with our viewers, because we have a lot of outdoors people out there.
Yes, sir.
And you can do it on 20 acres or 40 acres.
It doesn't matter your size. Yeah. You can still make a difference.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. I enjoyed being here with you.
Enjoyed having you, Ronnie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for watching our show. We appreciate your viewership. Do something good today for your fellow man. You have a great day. Enjoy the outdoors. Take care of it, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.